Thrones episode review panel where we come live at 9:45 p.m. Central Time to review the episode that we had just watched, Game of Thrones. To my left, we have Casey, who is coming to join us as panelist, as well as Sandra. How are you doing, Sandra?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. So today we're going to go through the episode. What an amazing episode. What do you guys think? Pretty awesome?
I think it was fantastic. They did a really good job with it. I'm pretty satisfied.
Well, before we go into the in-depth analysis and character descriptions and everything, especially with our death list over here, we have a question from a viewer. It is, what character do you think, or do you want to have sitting on the Iron Throne? Casey, do you have anybody in mind?
Honestly, I think the character that I want to see on the Iron Throne the most is Tormund, just so that a way I can have him make all the people of Westeros feel awkward by saying, "Do you know why they call me Giant's Bane?"
All right. He was probably going to be drinking milk while he does it. How about you, Sandra?
I would say Sam. Just
Why?
because he's intelligent, he's been reading about everything, and he's just lovable. I just love Sam.
He's a pretty jolly character, isn't he?
Yes, and surprisingly brave.
I'm surprised he survived this battle, actually.
Me too. I'm happy he did.
Yeah, what about you thinking with Tormund and surviving?
I think a lot of the character survivals were kind of surprising. I expected more central characters to bite it this episode. Not that I'm not happy that they survived, but I thought it was a little unrealistic.
A little bit. I was at least expecting Jaime to die. I mean, Theon was going to be a given. I really wanted the Night King to sit on the Iron Throne, but I guess that's not happening. Not really. I guess I wouldn't mind if... I don't know who I'd care to sit on. I mean, Daenerys would be fine on the Iron Throne, especially if she marries Jon to kind of temper her out. And that's saying something because I do not like Jon very much. At all, really. He actually really annoyed me this episode, but I loved Arya's scenes. Anyways, we'll get into that, but before we do, Casey, do you mind going over the game for us?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so as we covered last week, we have kind of a dead list contest for our Game of Thrones review show, and basically we give you a list of characters to choose from. You decide who is going to die before the final episode of the season, and whoever gets the most names correct wins $100. All you have to do to sign up is go to www.houstonfilmproductionclub.com to sign up, and we actually have a couple of people that have already entered. George Harrison, who has decided that the people who are going to die by the end of the season are going to be Cersei and Jaime. And Max Serrell, who has decided that the Hound, Theon, Yara, Daenerys, Bran, and Jaime will all be gone before the end of the season.
He's got one down. How many more to go? 1, 2, 3, 4. One down, 5 to go. Getting there. So who do y'all think is going to die?
I definitely think that, I don't know, a lot of people that are on the list I figured would have died by this episode, but I'm pretty sure that Cersei and Jaime are definitely going to die.
Maybe in each other's arms?
Possibly.
Okay. All right, so we all have to decide on the same one. Aren't we lucky? So are you pretty confident Cersei and Jaime are going to die?
Yes, I'd have to agree. Yes, they're going to die.
All right, Cersei and Jaime definitely going to die. I think that Grey Worm is eventually going to die somehow.
I agree.
Yes, he's always... He's a good candidate.
Yeah, well, him and Missandei were a bit too in the future. So in Game of Thrones speak, we know that usually means that somebody's going to bite it.
Yeah.
I think Euron is going to die.
Okay.
What say you? You think he's going to die?
Sure.
I think Yara's going to kill him or something.
I definitely think Varys is going to die before the season's done.
That's unfortunate. I hope he doesn't, but if you say so.
What do you think, Sandy?
I think you're right.
I don't think they're right, for the record. I think Varys is going to live forever.
Okay. Let's see. Who else do we think is going to die?
The Hound is probably going to go down taking out the Mountain because, you know, you got to have the Clegane Bowl going on.
Yeah, that's a good synopsis. I'd have to agree with you on that.
All right, do you think we have room for one more, or do you think that we're looking at the list of survivors right now?
I'm thinking I don't want to push anymore, but I'm sure there's going to be more deaths, probably not on our list, but definitely more deaths.
Yeah, afraid so.
All right.
All right, so our picks are Cersei, Jaime, the Hound, Varys, Grey Worm, and Euron. So let us know what you pick by going to www.houstonfilmproductionclub.com, entering to win for $100. How confident are you? All right, so now that we have that done, how about let's talk about the episode. What a freaking episode. That was an hour and a half long of just battles. What did you think of it?
I thought it was fantastic. I definitely think it rivaled the Battle of Helm's Deep in Lord of the Rings. It took a lot of inspiration from that, and there were so many twists and surprises throughout the battle that just shocked me.
I want to know what happened to Ghost. He goes in with the Dothraki, never to be seen again. Like, he's not even a White Walker or anything. Like, what do y'all think happened to him?
He's a ghost.
Honestly, I think he probably ran off into the woods and started hunting and kind of seeing a lost cause.
So he went to Nymeria.
Possibly.
Goes to Nymeria, hook up, make more direwolves. It happens.
I'm actually surprised that Nymeria didn't make an appearance with like her pack.
Well, whenever Arya came across Nymeria, she had asked her, she's like, come with me. And then whenever Nymeria walked away, she's like, that's not you. Which harkened back to the first episode when Ned Stark was talking to Arya saying, hey, we're going to have you grow up and be a lady and all this thing. And then Arya was like, that's not me. So that's kind of like Nymeria is not meant to be by her side at all times.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, true. That's not her. And I love how every scene with Arya, I absolutely loved. Especially whenever she was in the library and whenever she was with Melisande. It's because as soon as you saw Melisande, she looks at Beric Dondarrion, she's like, his purpose is complete. And you know that she knows her purpose is complete too, and says, you're going to shut the eyes of blue.
That was awesome. That was so well done. Who would have expected that?
Yeah. That was, even with that line, that was still a shock to me.
Yeah, and I
wasn't
think
expecting it.
Yeah, and I think
was a great
Maisie
surprise.
Williams, she did such an amazing job in this episode. I mean, like she was so confident in just taking
Agreed.
down Whites and White Walkers, and then she hits her head, and you can like see her kind of revert back to that little kid that she was first season.
You
And
see the fear in her eyes at that point.
yes,
Yeah.
and it just
Yeah, the
Her-
way they filmed that in the library was superb.
her arc throughout the entire episode was very. It was well done.
From protector to fighter to scared little girl
To savior of the
defeater.
world.
Yes, savior. Arya, the Azor Ahai, who nobody noticed. It's like we're all thinking it's going to be Jon, it's going to be Dany, it's going to be this person. But no, it was Arya. That was definitely my favorite. Y'all know how I feel about Jon, especially if you've been watching this. Before we go into my distaste for this character, which has nothing to do with Kit Harington. Kit Harington does such a phenomenal job playing Jon. I just think Jon is a terrible character. Anyways, what do y'all think?
No, I have to agree with you on that. He is, I don't know, he's just something about his character, and I can't put my finger on it, but
He's so brooding and honorable.
yeah, I think that's the brooding.
And that's it.
It's the brooding that just irritates me, I think, more than anything. I'm like, come on.
One of the few laugh out loud moments in the episode, in my opinion, was whenever Viserion, the white dragon, he's just like tearing through Winterfell, and Jon is like, okay, I'm gonna take him on, and he dives up and he starts breathing fire, and he's like, nope.
Yeah.
He runs and hides.
It just,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
He ran and hid a lot. It's one of those. I mean, if I were faced with the dragon, I would probably run and hide too. There might be a few smells that came out. But the part that really irritated me with Jon was when they were actually in that battle, the Night King on Viserion, Jon on Rhaegal, and they're going at each other, biting each other's throats, and you can see the Night King reaching for his spear, one-handed. Well, Jon just does not want to be a rodeo like, bucking on that Bronco, and he's like, I'm not even gonna let go. It's like, grab your freaking sword, man. You got the dragon's neck right here in front of your face. Just, ha-ka! You can do it. I believe in you.
10 minutes in.
But that was apparently not going to happen. And then whenever they were on the ground, he just sits there and stares at the Night King like he's going to start dancing. Whenever he finally does move, it's too late. It's like, come on, John, faster on the uptake here. You're in a battle.
I think one of the most like interesting and terrifying moments in the episode, though, was during that entire sequence. Whenever you get that moment where Danny is like, Dracarys, and nothing
And she
happens.
thinks something's going to
the
happen,
Night King
and
just
nothing
looks up at
happens.
her and smirks. That was one of the most terrifying moments in
Very
the
well done.
entire show.
It was well done.
It was very well done.
That smirk was pretty awesome. I mean, that smirk's what made me want him to sit on the Iron Throne. But no, to the viewers, that's one of those, he's always walked through fire, so he's just so cold the fire doesn't burn around him. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily meaning he's a Targaryen, though Tyrion is a Targaryen. I will stand by that. Until George R.R. Martin tells me otherwise, Tyrion is a Targaryen. What do you think?
Well, I have to agree with you based on the backstory. Yes.
But I think a bug just flew in my face. That's always fun. Or protein. But anyways, Tormund didn't die. I was kind of expecting him to. He went down Brienne went down a couple times. Jaime to the rescue. Mm-hmm. So how do you think that's going to fare for Cersei whenever this episode into the next?
Honestly, I'm not sure. The next episode is going to be very interesting. It's going to be a change of dynamic. Jaime will probably become either a war hero or a prisoner of war, depending on who he says his allegiance is to after. And it's just, the dynamics are going to be very interesting because they still have to address Jon being the true Targaryen heir.
Yes, I wonder if he's going to be okay with marrying Daenerys with that.
Yeah,
So.
it's going to be interesting because Jon was raised as a Stark. He wasn't raised as a Targaryen, whereas Dany was raised to believe that she would marry her brother Viserys until he sold her to Khal Drogo. So she's used to the idea of Targaryens marrying other Targaryens. Jon is not.
Yes, but at the same time, Sansa was betrothed to her cousin Robb Arryn for a short bit. So that seems to be okay because she didn't really pitch a fit about it. So would it be any worse for Jon to marry his aunt?
Socially, yes.
Okay.
Well, as far as like the social marital aspects of medieval times for nobles,
That was pretty normal.
yeah,
The
cousins
norm.
were normal, but aunts
Aunt
and
and nephew,
nephews
not
and
normal,
siblings
right?
and all that were definitely not normal.
Well, you know who's not going to marry anybody because she went out in the most amazing way possible? Lyanna Mormont. Like, the tiniest person kills the biggest. It's amazing.
Yeah, you're right about that. She was the tiniest.
Well, I don't know. Is she tinier than Tyrion?
Oh, well, Tyrion wasn't fighting.
This is true.
He was hiding.
So-
Her death was one of the most
Heroic.
it was one of the most heroic. It was the saddest, and yet at the same time, I was so proud of the actress that plays her because she went out like a bamf. She did an amazing job, and it just, I'm so glad that they gave one of the physically smallest characters in the show and one of the most socially small characters of the show one of the biggest
Dying roles.
yeah, one of the biggest ways to go out.
Yeah.
It was very admirable.
And talking about ways to go out, Theon.
Ooh.
I feel like that was kind of a weak way to go out. Like, yes, he was kind of heroic, but he charged the Night King with a spear and no other plan. Like, seriously, have a dagger on your side or something, so whenever you know you're about to get stabbed and go down, you can at least try to slash him. You might catch that too, but at least you had a backup plan other than suicide, pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was running into suicide. That's for sure. He was.
He had zero
But he
chance.
was very brave about it. I mean, for Theon, who I thought was the biggest coward there is.
He would have been better off throwing the spear.
True.
So, I don't know. That death was just kind of like, aw. I was really hoping he would at least pull it out of his side and try to stab the Night King with it, and since it wasn't dragon glass, it wouldn't do anything. The Night King would just be like, ha ha ha, and walk on. But no, not even that. He just kind of gives up like he did so many seasons before as Reek.
15 minutes in.
So, anyways, now that we've gone through the characters, we've had Theon, who was on our list that died. What other characters do we have again? Do you mind repeating?
Yes, for our Game of Thrones review contest, our picks for who's going to die by the end of the season are Cersei, Jaime, the Hound, Grey Worm, Euron, Varys, and of course Theon, who has already passed. We have a couple of people that jumped in the game early and were able to get their picks in, but you guys still have time to sign up. Just go to www.houstonfilmproductionclub.com and you can sign up there.
All right. And we also have another panelist on board, Will. He was here for our first episode, so we are welcoming Will back.
Yeah.
And thank you, Casey, for everything.
Oh, it's no problem. Thank you guys.
All right. So, as they are doing their thing, what did you think about the Hound whimpering behind the wall?
That was rather shocking to me. I did not see that. I did not expect that. And it was like he just sort of froze.
Well, yeah, he does that in the face of fire. He has that whole thing going on right there. But there wasn't as much fire for him, you think, to do that, you know?
Yeah, no, not like that. Hi, Will.
What's
Will's
up, guys?
back. Hey.
Hello.
How
Hello.
you doing?
I'm great. How are y'all?
We are doing fantastic.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the episode?
Oh, it was great. It was great. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. I was just anxious and quiet, and it was.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, I was completely enthralled.
White knuckling the table.
Ah!
So was there anything that surprised or shocked you in this episode?
Yeah,
Hang on, before we get into that, ask me about episode 2.
Okay, what did you
Oh.
think about episode 2?
Episode 2 was good. It was some more exposition leading up to this huge thing tonight.
How about Tormund being Giant's Bane?
Giant's milk?
Yeah, that was funny.
Tormund
That was
is, like,
funny.
he's becoming my favorite. He's such a dope. I love him.
Yeah. He's a bit of a clown.
He
like,
is a clown,
yeah,
but
it's great.
a lovable one. A
Yeah,
big giant
very lovable
lovable
clown. You want to know how I got the name Giant's Bane?
His first words in the next episode is the big woman still alive?
Yeah, right.
I thought it was. I loved it when he said he was gonna, if he was a king, he would knight her 10 times. I was
And-
like, whoa.
Yeah.
So sweet.
So sweet.
Yeah.
And hey, they all survived. Well, Brienne, the triangle survived. So
Yes, it did.
It's Game of Thrones, guys. We don't know what's gonna happen.
maybe Jaime and Tormund will take each other out. I still think Jaime's going to die in the arms of the woman he loves, and it's not going to be Cersei.
Wow,
I hope you're right.
that's poignant.
I hope you're right.
Me
It's
too.
going to be Brienne.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be poetic.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
Uh huh.
Like he might die.
Kind of the way Jorah died in
Daenerys.
Dany's arms tonight.
That was sad. Oh, and with Drogon wrapping around her like a big puppy dog.
Yeah, the dragon getting
yeah,
in
that
there
was,
and just
interesting. That was
comforting her.
beautiful.
That was a really
Beautiful.
nice. That was a really nice moment.
And the only reason we know that Rhaegal is still alive is because in the next episode they had a green dragon and Drogon is definitely black.
Yeah, I think in the preview we see both of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, we see Drogon definitely alive at the end, so we know he's alive, and then Rhaegal we see alive in the preview for the next episode. So Viserion is the only dragon that actually died. Hopefully Cersei doesn't get another one.
Cersei better watch out.
Well, how do you think Euron is going to go out? Because Theon is now dead, and do you think Yara is going to come to King's Landing to get Euron since the Night King is defeated and she no longer needs to keep the Iron Islands for a place for Daenerys to go back to?
That would be just. I like the idea of Jaime killing Euron. Like,
That is true.
get off my sister.
Yeah, I do. I like that idea as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you might say you deserve each other.
Oh. Well,
Wow, all in the family, right?
Well,
that could happen.
Euron's not really in their family.
That's right. He could be sacrificed to Cersei.
I mean, he acts like
speak.
Cersei.
Yeah, he does. He really does. They're kind of like a match made in heaven as far as their personalities go.
Well, what do y'all think is going to happen with Sansa and Tyrion? Because Sansa in the crypt was like, we would never work out because of your loyalties to Daenerys. And there they are at the end, holding each other's hands, ready to die together.
That was just so poignant It was so sweet.
Yeah.
It was just so touching.
I fully agree. Love conquers all. Maybe Sansa was just saying that, right?
Hey, she was in the moment. She was in the moment. I don't
Uh-huh.
see them together down the road. I think that was just a moment, something you say
If Jon and
when you're about to
Daenerys,
die.
well, if Jon and Daenerys get together, then there's not really any
it-
split
there's a-
loyalties.
It could happen, but I don't know.
Maybe it works out to Dany's favor if her hand and her rival get married, right? That kind of builds more of an alliance.
That'll be the day. Tyrion, Dany, you have to marry Jon. Okay, only if you marry Sansa.
Could have a double wedding. That'd be cute.
As long as it's not red.
Yeah, as long as it's not the red wedding.
Yeah.
Let's not have a repeat
Yeah.
of that. Ooh.
I
What do
mean,
you guys think about the fire swords?
the firestorm.
Oh, the fiery
Oh, the
shafts.
the fiery shafties.
Shafties.
The fact that their swords are called shafties and then they were on fire, that does not sound pleasant. I am actually surprised that the Dothraki allowed a witch to touch his sword and didn't flinch, look at her angrily, or do anything. Like, I don't know if that was the director or the actor or what, but if I were a Dothraki and a witch touched my blade, I'd be like, oh, hell no, at first, you know? They do not like their witches.
That's true.
He seemed way too docile to allow a witch. Priestess, sorry.
I think he was just, open to the possibility if she can help, let her help.
Yeah, right. And they follow Jorah's orders. They trust Jorah.
True,
Yes,
but he should
by
have at least
then.
had some kind of contempt on his face.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
I liked
agree.
how they ended up being torches and you could see their lights being
Yeah,
put
you
out.
could
I
see
thought that
them
was a
run
nice
across
image.
The,
Yeah.
That was a beautiful scene.
the
That
land, the field,
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
yeah, their going out is actually what destroyed their plan because Daenerys allowed her people dying get to her to where they didn't wait to have 2-on-1 dragons with the Night King and instead jumped their plan early, which is what put their dragons in danger.
I just think that they should have, burned them all a lot sooner. Like, should have gotten on the dragons, gone out, and burned the dead army sooner. Why not? Get a head start.
Because Night King had a dragon, and if they separated the dragons or something happened to the dragons, then they would have 0 chance against the Night King. By having 2 against 1, they had at least a chance, which turns out didn't matter because Jon turned out to be just a useless character, and Arya won the day.
She hates Jon Snow.
Yeah,
I
you
do.
really do.
You hate Jon Snow.
You really do. I mean, I
really
dislike him because, he broods too much, but
He doesn't
wow.
do
I like him because we have the same hair.
I
It's the only reason.
He's so honorable and he's so predictable and okay, so he's useful in that he has gotten the houses together, he got the wildlings to come over, and he got everybody to
Yeah,
come together.
just that small contribution though.
Like during this battle,
He's able to
what did
unite,
he actually do?
Different armies.
I guess Rhaegal took down Viserion, but he was barely holding on for his life, so he wasn't really in that. He could have taken out his sword and helped, but he didn't.
I do agree with you on that. As I was watching that sequence, they could have pulled the sword out. I wish they had done some dog fighting moves. Like as in 2 fighter jets fighting each other. That would have been kind of cool, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just, I don't know. But Arya, I think, stole the episode
Yeah.
with how little she was in it. Because she wasn't in it the whole time. Because you had to forget about her for that surprise
Right,
at the end.
she disappeared. Yeah.
Yeah.
She did.
It's just that, like I said before, that Melisandre scene. Because as soon, she's like, he served his purpose. And then she said that she was going to die before dawn, but she actually didn't. It's because she finally served her purpose. So she allowed herself to die, finally. So it's like, their purpose was all for Arya.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Melisandre fired Arya up. She was like, what do you say to death? Not today.
Such a good
and
callback.
then she just, launched into going to save her brother Bran and kill the Night King. It was like she was fired up to do that then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it was because of the blue eyes. She's like, yeah, you saw death in my eyes. Brown and green. Yeah, and blue. Oh, you're right. Run off. I get it now.
What did you guys think of Grey Worm?
Grey Worm is...
He abandoned the trenches.
He did finally abandon the trenches at the end, which kind of harkens back to when he was talking to Missandei back in Marine saying, I was the bravest soldier, but I did not know fear until I met you. And to be the first, like one of the first of the Unsullied to come back, and you could just see the fear in his eyes.
I mean, he was like a coward. He, to me, he embodied a coward right then. I mean, it just,
25 minutes in.
just shocked by that. I did not expect that at all.
Well, like PTSD and shell shock is topical today.
A real thing.
And maybe the writers were dealing with that. We saw the Hound
Good point.
have some of that too.
Good point.
Yeah, the Hound is terrified
Certainly
of fire.
Sam,
Yeah.
I mean, there was an ocean of zombies.
It really was.
Desperate times, yeah.
They held their own though. Like, oh my gosh. Even Sam held his own. And then down in the crypt, like in the show, they don't quite touch the iron swords, but in the book they even say as he's describing the crypt, he says some of the iron swords have rusted through, and those were what was supposed to keep their spirits locked in. So it's like the rusted swords are the ones that got out.
Interesting.
So in the show they don't really touch on that, but in the book they do.
Wow. Yeah. It was just, I don't know. I was blown away. I was
I
mean,
was
I was
too.
sitting there not breathing through half of the show because I was just like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just on the edge of my seat and I was just blown away and I wasn't breathing. And so
All right,
maybe, yeah.
so then what would you rate the show?
So we're not doing decimals, so I guess, and I fluctuate. I'll go with a 9.
Why would you go with a 9?
Well, because I just expected more people to die. Like, I expected Brienne to die. I expected, just if you were out on the front lines, I just expected you to die. And when you didn't die, I didn't really buy it that much.
Yeah, and how about you? What would you rate it?
I would also give it a 9 for more or less the same reason. When the Night King initiates round 2 and brings back all of those whites, I didn't know if John managing to kill all of them as quickly as he did was as believable as the show creators may have wanted it to be. But that's just, I mean, those are just little things. I was absolutely blown away.
Yeah.
I loved every second of it.
I would give it a 9, but that'd be barely a 9. Barely a 9.
Yeah, just a 9, guys. Just a 9. Just a 90.
Only.
Just an A.
But-
Just an A.
Well, that's mainly because they did a lot of repeat scenes. Like Viserion with firing at Jon, they kept repeating the same thing over and over again. And I guess that was showing the futility of Jon actually getting to the Night King. But the reason, like, why I would give it such high is because of the scenes with Arya, as I keep praising, because Maisie Williams also, everybody did such an amazing job. But the deaths, like Jorah's death with Daenerys, then Drogon coming over to her, not Theon's death, scratch that one. Sorry, because whatever. But Liana's death was amazing, and then the Night King's death, that was a shocker to me. Like, that one was
a
amazing.
shocker.
But a lot of the scenes just seemed to be repetitive and filler because there was no main characters really fighting in a lot of the scenes. There were and there weren't. Like, you see them getting crowded around, but you're not actually from their POV as you had been from other battles. And it's just, that's why I would give it a 9, because
1 minute out.
there was too much repetitive and not enough let me see my characters that I'm watching this for, that I'm rooting for.
Well, they can catch us again next week on YouTube at Houston Film Pro at around 9:45 p.m.
That's right.
For the next, I don't know, we're going battle again next week.
We're probably,
Thursday?
it's probably going to be a setup for Cersei
Yeah.
next week. It's
Yeah.
it's definitely going to be another setup episode. Oh, not definitely. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be another setup episode. So yeah, join us next week for what we predict for the following episode as well at Houston Film Pro YouTube at 9:45 p.m. Central after the episode has aired, where we will go in depth with those characters and predictions and analysis of everything. Thank you for joining us tonight.